Powerful quote, but it's also a short window into a much bigger and uglier economic truth about women's pro basketball. Even the very best historically had to chase paychecks overseas, sometimes to places Americans consider politically uncomfortable because the WNBA didn't and still doesn't pay enough. Diana Taurasi's line, "I'm the best player in the world and I have to go to a communist country to get paid like a capitalist," landed because it's blunt, true, and easy to visualize. The context behind it matters. So here's a focused breakdown of what she meant, why it mattered then, and why it still matters now. What she said and why it's not a flippant complaint. Taurasi's comment came in the context of a documentary and recent interviews, where she reflected on a career spent supplementing WNBA income with lucrative overseas deals, particularly in Russia. That wasn't nostalgia, it was survival strategy. Top overseas teams, UMMC, Ekaterinburg among them, historically offered superstar-level salaries, reported in the ballpark of $1 to $1.5 million per winter for elite players, plus perks like chartered travel and off-court comforts that far outstripped what the WNBA paid then. For many stars, playing overseas was simply how you could afford to stay and support family while still playing elite basketball. Cite turn search 8 turn search 9. Why the economics pushed players abroad. Two forces combined to create the exodus. First, the WNBA's salary structure was tightly constrained for years, and even when the numbers rose, they remained tiny compared with comparable men's leagues or high-end overseas offers. Second, the global market for women's club basketball, particularly in Russia, Turkey, and China during certain periods, was willing to spend heavily on marquee names to boost local leagues' profiles. The result, top WNBA players could double or triple or more their annual earnings by playing overseas in the off-season. That's why a player who's a domestic star nonetheless spent winters in Moscow. It was commerce, not patriotism. Site turn search 9. What this meant on the human level, Taurasi didn't just earn more, she spent long months away from family, but routinely missing birthdays and milestones. That's a cost that money only partially offsets. She's been candid about how those choices left emotional gaps. She also pointed out the absurdity that arena staff or non-athletic personnel sometimes earned more on a seasonal basis than the stars themselves. Those are powerful images that cut through PR speak about growing the game. Cite turn search 6. Why it's central to the current CBA fight. Fast forward to 2025. The league is booming in attention, franchise valuations are skyrocketing, and stars like Caitlin Clark have accelerated viewership. That growth is the players' leverage in the current collective bargaining agreement, CBA talks. Players have used moments like the All-Star warm-ups to press the "pay us what you owe us" message publicly. The ask isn't raw greed. It's a demand for revenue share, improved travel and working conditions, and contracts that make staying stateside financially viable. The optics of Taurasi's story feed that message. The league grew under the sweat and sacrifice of players, and now the players want a fairer slice. Cite turn search 2 turn news 24. What the league says and why it's complicated. WNBA leadership points to long-term growth plans, expanded media deals, rising franchise values, and audience gains. Owners counter that the league must sustain profitability and grow revenue before dramatically increasing guaranteed payrolls. That's partially true. Leagues that expand salaries too fast without revenue to back them risk financial instability, but the counterargument is persuasive. Sports labor markets usually accelerate pay once demand and revenues are demonstrably higher, and the WNBA's growth curve looks real right now. Owners sitting on massive valuation gains while players still struggle to cover living costs is an increasingly untenable public position. Site turn news 24. What would meaningful change look like? Practical fixes the players are pushing for, and that would blunt the need to chase pay overseas, include a larger percentage of league revenues going to players, revenue share, higher minimum rookie salaries, expanded roster size and travel upgrades, better hotels, fewer red eyes, and more guaranteed money for stars. Another structural fix, multi-year media and sponsorship deals that shift money into the centralized pot owners and players can agree to distribute. In short, treat this like any modern pro sport, shared prosperity tied to measurable growth. Site turn search for, can the WNBA keep its stars at home anymore? Yes, but only if the CBA delivers meaningful financial security and the league keeps growing its commercial footprint. The market signals are strong. Historic franchise sales, growing broadcast deals, and a new audience wave around players like Caitlin Clark. If the union nails a deal that meaningfully raises top-line player pay and working conditions, the incentive to chase a winter contract abroad will shrink. If not, players will keep making rational financial choices, which will remain awkward optics for a league that touts its homegrown stars but can't always pay them to stay home. Site Turn News 24, Turn Search 20. Bottom line. Diana Taurasi's zinger about going to a communist country to get paid like a capitalist landed because it captured in one line decades of financial mismatch and personal trade-offs. It's a critique of a system that extracted the on-court product but didn't initially reward the people producing it. The good news, the conversation is now public and urgent, and the league's commercial trajectory gives the players real leverage. The question is how quickly owners and the WNBPA will translate that leverage into contracts and structures that let top players thrive, financially and personally, without having to spend winters halfway around the world. If you want, I can pull together a short timeline of top WNBA CBA milestones, salary caps, major media deals, notable franchise sales, or draft a concise explainer video script, 90 to 120 seconds, you could use to summarize Taurasi's point and the CBA stakes for social, which would be more useful.
I'm the best player in the world, and I have to go to a communist country to get paid like a capitalist. That blunt line from Diana Taurasi, pulled from a teaser for the documentary Taurasi, cuts to the heart of a stark reality. For years, even the WNBA's biggest stars had to chase pay overseas to make a living. Taurasi's off-season stints in Russia weren't luxury tours. They were financial necessities. As a WNBA rookie in 2004, she made about $42,000. By 2014, the league's max salary topped out around $107,000. Playing for UMMC Ekaterinburg in Russia, Taurasi earned roughly $1.5 million a season, about 15 times her WNBA pay, plus perks like charter flights and premium treatment. The trade-off, she says, was steep: long stretches away from family and missing important moments at home. Those choices helped build generational security for many players, but they laid bare the WNBA's compensation problem. Taurasi retired after 2024. Outlets aggregating her pay history reported she earned about $1.385 million from 2017 to 2024, with roughly $234,936 in each of 2023 and 2024, a notable improvement over earlier years, but still small compared with top overseas offers. The unequal economics have become a rallying cry. During 2025 CBA negotiations, players used the All-Star Game warm-ups to make a simple demand visible: pay us what you owe us. The landscape has shifted. Rookie scales and max deals are higher than in Taurasi's early years. But many players and fans argue progress hasn't kept pace with the league's growth. For contrast, recent rookie scale and max figures have been publicized in reporting. The 4-year rookie pool, current max tiers, and superstar exceptions vary by year, and the gap between top WNBA pay and top overseas contracts remains a central bargaining issue. Taurasi's story is a reminder of what paved the way for today's stars: elite talent, global sacrifice, and relentless pressure to monetize a relatively short career. Her blunt verdict, that she had to leave the U.S. to get paid what she deserved, helps spotlight why players continue pushing for a CBA that better values their contributions on and off the court.